this production was funded by Kickstarter?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it getting funded by Kickstarter?
It was an incredible experience. It was a very rewarding experience. We still can't believe that we actually were able to raise the funds, and from so many people who we didn't know. Like, most of the time, Kickstarter has an 80 to 20% ratio of, you usually know 80% of the people who are contributing to your campaign, and for us it was the exact opposite. So 80% of the people were strangers who contributed to it, and that was a very affirming and a wonderful emotional support for me, just on a personal level, to have people believe in the project before it was even made.
Terrific performances, both of you. This is a very interesting film, and I was just curious, how did you two get involved in the production?
I got involved. I've been friends with Simon for a very long time, and since middle school, and I've known Jocelyn for years as well. And at one point, she came up to me and said that she had written a script and would I read it and be interested in playing a character. And my first reaction is getting really nervous, because it's someone that I care about, someone who's close to me and will continue to be close to me for the rest of my life. And I was so excited and relieved in a certain way to read this very unique, beautiful script that really moved me. I mean, I got to the last scene and I had tears in my eyes. That doesn't happen to me when I'm reading things very much. I think it happened when I read Where the Red Fern Grows in 4th grade, but not usually. And so that's how I got involved. I just called her back and said, yes, absolutely, I want to be part of this.
How about you, Kevin?
I was on the big island of Hawaii, and I got a call saying there was interest in would I, read the script, and so the script was sent, and then I loved it, and then I've tracked down this Oliver Sacks book, and at a bookstore, the used bookstore, and read it, and this combined with the other, it just was such a beautiful role. I was quite touched to be asked to do it. So
it feels like a story we've seen before, but not really.
Oh, thank you.
And I was curious, how did you come up with the idea for it?
I was inspired by the music from The Man of La Mancha. My dad used to play me the records when I was little, and I just loved the music so much and loved the story of Don Quixote. So I wanted to transfer that to a modern tale and made him a war veteran. And instead of Aldonza being a prostitute, in his mind a princess, I turned it into his daughter, who he thought was his wife. And that was where it came from.
Nice. It's very interesting.
Just a simple concept.
Just a simple concept.
Just transfer it over.
And how did you become involved with this production?
Well, I married Jocelyn, and it was in our prenup. I said, you better put Jocelyn wrote the script, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing, and she wanted me to play her stepbrother, so that was incestuous in its own way. So there's a lot of incestuous sort of themes in the movie. I was just excited to be there.
It was nice working together in this film.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it was great. It was great to have actually someone to take it home with and talk about it with every day. And
that's good.
I
usually hear the opposite, but it's nice to see that.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
We're both so sort of obsessed with our work that we don't need to turn it off too much.
Did you do any research on this role, on your roles?
I did a little bit. I learned a lot. Jocelyn told us a lot about Korsakoff Syndrome and told us about the book and everything, and but I didn't. I mean, other than sort of being around medical people and seeing what their day-to-day job is, I didn't do that much research. There was a lot that was just already in the script. The characters seemed to know what they were talking about, and so yeah. But Kevin did a lot of research.
Yeah, well, I looked at read through, and then I started looking at Korsakoff Syndrome, and then there were YouTube. There was some YouTube on it, and there were two men that each had Korsakoff Syndrome, and then they taped it, they recorded it, and on one of them, I noticed a speech pattern, and started, because I was trying to figure out how how to be somebody who can't remember. If you asked me what I just said when I just said it, I wouldn't remember that. How do you stay in this place, you know? And there's an edge that's constantly a question, you know. So that's in the rhythms of him. He starts to lose it a bit as I get better.
What was it like wearing so many hats on this production? You wrote it, you directed it, you starred in it.
It was challenging, but it was great in the sense that, you know, I got to answer my own questions, and just if I needed permission for something, I had permission to change the script, and I had permission to work with the actors who I wanted to work with. And that being said, even though I was wearing so many hats, it was a complete collaboration with all of the other department heads of the film, and then our producers who were so amazing. So it was great being the boss, and then being the boss who got to not feel like a boss because I was working with so many other strong, influential people. So,
what was the most challenging aspects of your roles, would you say?
I don't know. It was, you know, to me, I think it was much more of just a joy. Here we were with a beautiful script, telling a beautiful, subtle, unique story that I had never seen before, working with friends and people I had known for a long time, and everything. I mean, there were difficult scenes, to be sure, but it was surrounded by so much love that you know, we just sort of went through it, and every scene was given its time, and yeah. Basically, I guess the biggest challenge was just in a situation where you're surrounded with so many great people, you just go, I'm not going to be the one to mess this up. I mean, keep the ball in the air when it's my turn.
Did you have someone looking over your shoulder when you were acting on screen?
Simon actually ended up playing that role really well, because we would, you know, the night before talk about the scenes, and I would say what I was looking for in them, and then he would watch behind the camera, and I would ask him if we got it, because we didn't really have time for playback, so he was my eyes on the set.
I mean, it's kind of a family affair, this movie, because, you know, Jocelyn and Simon are married, and it just seems like a lot of people came together.
Absolutely.
For a long time. So.
Yeah.
How about you, Kevin? What was the most challenging aspect?
I think the idea of dealing with memory and the loss of memory, and what a tragedy that is as people get older. I mean, it's something everyone has to deal with. So I remember when we were filming for quite a few days at this home, lots of Alzheimer's patients and older patients, and one evening we finished, it was about 10 o'clock at night, and we were, you know, heading on my way out, and there was an older woman who had fallen in front of her door, and she had a cut on her head, you know, and I didn't want to, I thought of moving her, helping her, but I thought I'd better get a nurse. So while I was waiting for that, she looks up at me, you know, and she says, I don't like getting old.
The character played by Kevin Tighe, he's suffering from memory loss and not Alzheimer's, right?
It's not ever really named in the film, but what I was influenced by was something called Korsakoff Syndrome, which is a form of retrograde amnesia. And I think a lot of people, though, who have seen the film and who have parents who have Alzheimer's have really connected with it as well, because it has similar characteristics. A lot of people actually have come up and talked about how their parents have mistaken them for their spouse, and you know, so it was a surprise for me to hear that, but it has some similarities in that way of dementia-related illnesses, so.